I'm Logan Crawford, and right now on Spotlight, we have a wonderful book for you if you are new to the country, if you're exploring the language, if you want to learn how to speak English, not like a Brit, but like an American. Well, Milena Kunin Portney has come up with a fantastic guide for you. The book is called Have Fun, Learn to Speak and Understand American English. It is an insightful guide for English learners, focusing on the unique intricacies and nuances of talking like an American. The book is tailored for those who had some exposure to the language, but are seeking to be more fluent and have better understanding, especially as they navigate life in the United States. We're delighted to have this very talented author join us here today on Spotlight. We thank our team at Atticus Publishing for helping us put her in the spotlight today. And we ask viewers like you to support writers like her by subscribing to our channel. Milena, thank you so much for being our guest today on Spotlight.
Thanks for inviting me.
Oh, the pleasure is all mine. This is a terrific book, and obviously born out of your experience. You emigrated to this country from Ukraine. How long ago, would you say?
In 1991, in the mid of summer, right before the Soviet Union fell apart. So I came actually from Soviet Union, and I have a unique old Soviet passport of the country that is now no more, so to speak.
That must be a collector's item, that's for sure, to have that USSR passport.
Maybe in 100 years.
Sounds good. What was your English like when you first came to this country?
Well, I thought I was completely prepared because I studied English as a main subject at the Kiev University. Mm-hmm. And at that time, to tell you the truth, it was just like, I don't know, not a very practical thing to study. Mm. Because there were hardly any contacts with the outside world for a person who lived in the Soviet Union, and only the privileged few had access to translation or to translating the movies or whatever, you know. So my parents thought it was impractical. Mm. But they were linguists themselves, though German, and somehow they found themselves useful. So I thought, okay, let me try. And it was a very good experience. We had plenty of interesting professors there. Of course, we had a big load of propaganda we had to study. But, you know, being students, we didn't pay it any mind. We could learn anything. And that's why I was very lucky to be admitted to the Kiev University. It was only for elite special hour department. Mm-hmm. And I studied and I graduated quite, you know, on a good level, wrote a thesis, and the thesis was and English and American semantic loans in the modern German. So I was satisfied. Yeah. Okay, so then I was lucky again because I was able to land a job that involved at least written translation and working with the sources in English, but it was science. So I had to learn about minerals, about crystal chemistry, and other things that were necessary. So in the process of such, I made a small dictionary, Russian, English, double-sided bilingual, in geology and geochemistry. It just for our inner use. I never printed it officially, but it was my first creation. And then I worked for that scientific institute in like to a succession of members of academy. Although I was at that time, believe it or not, very young, they trusted me to do a good job. And when my first professor, a member of academy, passed away, unfortunately, early, I worked for the director of the institute. And in that capacity, I got my first opportunity to translate for, to do interpretation for foreign scientists when they came to Kiev because of the Chernobyl accident. Our institute was, I don't think they have to, but our director was a very good person, although member of Communist Party, doesn't matter. He was very conscientious guy, and we did the investigation of the results in the water of our water reservoir next to Kiev, and in the water of the Dnieper River, and other things that we could do promptly. So after that, again, I was an interpreter for the first, seriously, first scientific congress that was held in, it was already beginning of perestroika in Moscow, and it was for geologists of the whole world and all kinds of people I met there, and I translated for the hosts of that conference, to my boss from Kiev and for an American side. So that was my experience there. Also, I managed to teach, although I was not, as I told you, was not excited about being a teacher. Because, early in life, I got acquainted with the English saying, who knows does, who doesn't teaches, which really didn't encourage me to be this kind of a person. But it was a very interesting, my first experience teaching adults. It was for young adults who, for some reason, had a gap between high school and the entrance examinations to the higher institution, like University of Kiev. And I was teaching them the subject that was on the agenda. They were supposed to take entrance tests, and it was English. So anyway, I started teaching adults, and I was amazed how those kids with really little education overall were able to learn so much if they were interested. So to get them interested was my main goal, because they could learn by themselves, but I needed to get them interested. And it sort of worked out, and I had two years of teaching those preparatory courses. And then I left, and I went to United States.
Gotcha.
Directly. Yes, my brother was already here. He is a computer analyst, so for him it was not a problem to find a job. And mathematics doesn't take too much English. It's English
All
for
numbers,
mathematics.
numbers are universal, right?
Yes, it's quite primitive. So then when I arrived here, I noticed that I still have some gaps, or I don't have clear understanding of certain things. And I, of course, wanted to sound like local, to use the expressions that local used, sound like, not like I was born here, but at least like I'm in the right place.
Right.
Well, so at that time, I went to a lecture by a scientist from Johns Hopkins, and that scientist said one thing about speakers of foreign languages that impressed me. He said that by your language, you are judged as to your social status, as your educational level, and all that. Pay attention to that. Because he said a lot of educated people came to the United States to shape its science and medicine or anything from overseas. So if it is a person whose language is perfect, but he speaks or she speaks with an accent, it choose the people think he is, oh yeah, he is more maybe educated than us, he came from overseas and all that. But if you speak grammatically incorrectly, whatever accent or no accent, people think you are here to work in the field somewhere or do some menial kind of job. So
absolutely, people judge people by the way they speak, the language they use, how they present themselves. We just have a couple of minutes left. I want to talk about your book a little bit more. And what is your best advice for someone who is coming into this country, who is trying to learn to speak English like an American?
First of all, open your ears and listen. Give yourself a chance to understand what people are saying. You don't rush into the answer to show that you are okay. Don't mumble. Speak distinctly, because it gives you a better chance to be understood. And also, don't give up. Try to do what Americans do. Try to go to American restaurants, try to go to American movies, try to go to theaters, try to travel, and feel that you are finally free to choose what you want to do.
Absolutely. They
You will
say
succeed.
that's great advice. They say in Rome, do what the Romans do. In America, do what the Americans do. Watch American TV, go to TGI Fridays and have a burger. Immerse yourself in the language, immerse yourself in the culture. Don't segregate yourself into your little community of people who have come from your native country. I understand you need that sometimes as a support group, but it's nice to break those barriers and get out amongst the English speaking Americans. Wonderful book, wonderful interview. The name of the book is Have Fun, Learn to Speak and Understand American English. Milena Kunin Portney has an amazing resume. She has an amazing life, an amazing story, and she has put together a very, very helpful and insightful guide for you to learn how to transition to our beautiful United States of America more easily. Milena, thank you so much for joining us here today on Spotlight.
Thank you for inviting me. I had a lot of fun.
I'm glad you did. And I had fun speaking with you. And to the folks at home, I'm Logan Crawford, thanking you for your time this time. Until next time on Spotlight.